Hello and welcome to Retro Cars Reborn. I am Lee, and today's episode we're going to be getting on with more of the Peugeot 205. We're going to eliminate more rust and let's get some more welding done. Let's go. So I have welded this piece in, as you can clearly see, and I've flattered most of it back. It definitely needs going over with some filler to make it nice and smooth. But I wasn't too concerned about that. I was just concerned about keeping it from going rusty for now. As you can see, look, that's where it was welded on the opposite side all the way through. I'm not going to bother filing that back, as this entire area is covered in carpet anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to focus on getting this welded back in, but I also want to get this bit here straightened back out and welded back in also, because I don't know why, but this is the part that they decided they were going to cut out and then change their mind. They bent it out of the way again. I don't know for what reason, so it definitely needs repairing. So this is its nice bent state. As you can see, it's properly buckled, so I'm going to have a go at straightening it out now and seeing what I can do with it. Well, I managed to get it nice and flat from both angles. It's been really hard to try and get this shape to come back, because you shouldn't be able to see the front of it, and to actually be able to get the gap to completely close up, you have to like pull the entire thing forwards. But they have chopped out a nice little slither from there, which I'm super grateful for. Thanks to the lovely people who did that. Cheers, pal. So yeah, so just got to knock it slightly forward and then we can weld it. Then we can weld up all these little bits. There's still this little tiny chunk to take out, and then we can look at putting this bit back in. Right, and so that is as close as I can get the original cuts to be around the inside and the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld them together, and then now you can see the bulge outwards. It shouldn't be like that. It should be completely flat from that point to that point. So once I've welded across there and across there and across this bottom piece and it's ground back, I will then knock out this bulge, because it just won't do it while it's flimsy. Basically it just moves the whole top of the B-pillar about. So let's weld it and let's see what we can do with it afterwards, eh? Right then, so we bent it with some pliers, we hit it with a hammer. We've now welded it and ground it. So now let's hit it with a hammer again and see if we can knock out this nodule here, because it's it just looks terrible. It's just, how have they bent it backwards into that arc shape in the first place? Madness. I don't know. Whatever. Let's see if we can knock it out, shall we? Funnily enough, you hit it with a hammer and it literally it creates this crease straight down it where it was originally bent, and it's just impossible to bring it back from it, which I find kind of crazy. It will allow me to grind that bit of weld off there now though, because it's flat. But yeah, it just deforms it either out this way or out this way. Look, it's bumped, it's just rippled all that now, which it's clearly That's the straightest that I'm going to get it. I mean, we can show you the other side. I'll do a spin round. This has this indent in here, look, where it comes out to this piece. Not that any of it's in any way, shape or form straight to start with, but yes, it's I think it's because it goes in here and comes into here. I think halfway through this piece it would have originally come out here and then gone up, and yeah, I can't recreate that piece. It's very, very difficult. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's welded, you know, it's repaired anyway. It's better than it was before, let's put it that way, when it had no bottom and it was attached to nothing from basically there downwards. Yeah. Right then, let's get this bit done. Right then, so I've got this bit cut out and ready to go. Bear in mind that bit there still needs chopping out. Right then, so let's just look at the two bits. This is the knackered, rotten one, where basically all this here was buckled inwards and made out of filler, and this is the new piece that has been cut out to the exact same as that. You lay them over the top, look, they're pretty much perfect match. But when you fit it, the scariest thing in the universe happens. Drop it in place. What's this? Why is there a giant gap there? That is ridiculous. I didn't cut it that big. But you got to notice that that piece slides underneath. So if you move it so that this piece fits perfectly. It's as close as you can get it to go to it, because it's like sprung loaded, you see. It closes the gap up, look. Completely closes the gap up, look, and it's all round, all matches round the edge of the window now. But it now doesn't match here nor here. It actually folds over. It's really random. You have to like push it down, and as you push the metal down, it kind of like goes like that and opens up and springs into all the places it needs to be. So yeah, I actually got quite scared there for a second that it didn't fit, but it does. So I'm just going to clamp it in place, because once it's clamped I imagine it'll look perfect. Just going to have to chisel this bit out and then I'll clamp it in. Nah, so no matter what way you swing it, that cut there was terrible, and I'm just going to have to fill it with weld to fix it. But yeah, I don't know how it happened to end up cutting across there. I know it's not when I've cut my piece, look, because it's straight. It's when I've cut it out in the first place. I've cut at an angle. Same here, look. I've cut at an angle when I've cut the piece of the car out, but you know, it doesn't really matter. That bit fits practically perfect. Just gotta make the preparations and weld it in. It's mostly welded in there. Welded up there, welded around here. Not welded the actual where the spot welds were yet, down either side. Wanted to get it fully fitted first. But yeah, it is looking sick. And from that to this, it's not fully finished, as you can see, but it's at a point now where it's welded in. All the bodywork and all the finishing I can do at a later date. So we've now got that piece in, this piece in. So now let's work on that piece and that little piece there, and you can see the light coming through. So here we are, this is our piece that we need to make. I've already measured its thickness. I've got a piece of floor that I cut out because, you know, it's Peugeot already. It's the same thickness that what they already used. And why would I waste perfectly good metal? So we're going to make a cardboard template in here, which we can screw on, which will be kind of cool. So we can just, you know, it'll hold it in place while I draw around it and whatnot. Then we'll transfer it to this, and let's see what we can come up with. Well, it didn't turn out too bad. It's got a little gap at the top, but that just means I've got to leave a little bit more on it. Once it's a solid piece of metal, it'll be easier to manipulate. Because cardboard, it's flimsy and it flickers all over the place, look, and it doesn't bend where you want it to. So that's why that corner's slightly out. So yeah, let's transfer that to this piece of metal now, cut it out, and we'll see how it fits. As you can probably hear, there is a truck currently reversing down the side of my street, and trucks don't go down here. So, drilled a hole, slapped it on. It definitely needs shaving down. It's quite a lot larger around the edges, so I'm just going to take a slither off this side and a slither off this side, because it definitely bows. But you can see it's definitely not straight. So some adjustment and we'll come back. So I've trimmed it to fit in the gap now. So now we're going to get this line bent in the vise, and we shall go from there. That didn't turn out too bad. I will trim the excess off the bottom once it's welded in. So now I've just got to prep the surfaces for welding, and we can weld it in. So I finally got around to actually welding this in, and I used it basically now as a test for the new Artec welder that I bought. I did a video on that, and I'll leave it somewhere here for you to click on. So yes, I'm going to grind this back now, and then we'll see if it's left any holes, pinholes behind. I've not welded this bottom and this bottom yet, because I want to cut it so that it's perfectly flush with that skirt. So yeah, let's go weld this, let's go grind this back. So it's been ground back. Some of it did become very thin, look. And we've got at least one pinhole there and one pinhole there, but for one pass, I am happy with that. So we'll, I just did everything I could to protect my new welder from the grinding. But I've had to go over it, look, there, with a carbide cutting tool, because just couldn't get the grinder into these areas. And also, the only grit of paper I've got for the needle filer or power file is useless. It just destroys itself. But you can see here anyway, this is as far as the seam sealer comes up on. So this is pretty much going to get seam sealed anyway, so that'll be nice and covered. I'll fiberglass the back of it, of course, as well, to give it some extra protection. It's still got to have this put back on it yet, so again it's going to get welded again. So yeah, we'll take another pass over these edges. We'll join this, we'll join that, we'll trim it, and then we'll look at cleaning this rusty thing up and getting this stuck back on. So this is that plate fully welded in. Ta-da! I just ground back some little bits of rusty patches across the bottom, and I've seen some bubbling here, which revealed some lovely holes, some lovely little pinholes. So I'm going to grind this area back, treat it, and hopefully I can just get some blobs of weld on there and grind it back, and it should be okay. That needs straightening out there. So now we can move on to grinding all that crap off of this, because this is quite a thick piece of metal, so it's definitely not going to rot away. So let's grind this back, we'll get it in place. I'm probably going to drill through, all the way through here, and just weld it directly through those holes. Let's do it. So I've cleaned the back of it up. We've got the back side of it also sprayed with the Halford's weld through primer, which so far is waterproof, because the Supra is still outside and all it's got on it is that weld through primer, and there's no rust on the bonnet or the roof or the pillars yet. And it's been about, I don't know, 6 months. So yeah, so we've just got to try and get that back down there. There doesn't seem to be any access from this side, so I'm going to take this out and see if there's a bigger hole behind it, because see, that one's nice and flush, but that one needs moving back up before we drill it and weld it. So yeah, so my plan is just to drill through, all the way through, and then basically plug weld it on, because it's literally only held on with those two what were spot welds there, one spot weld there, and another spot weld there. And just in case you couldn't remember what it used to look like, this is the piece that I've cut out. Now I haven't bothered to cut the holes that big, because that's just inviting rust to form back round it. So I was like, no chance am I making the hole that big. Plus you can see this has two holes, because here is the top piece, and you can see it was like plug welded to the back, and that would be the second one above it. But again, I'll drill the hole once this piece is attached. That'll basically give me the hole's reference point to drill, and we'll also get the bracket that sits on there, so we get it perfect. So yeah, I'm just going to give this area also a spray with the Halford spray now as well, just to keep the rust back. I've still got to grind down this side, and as you can see, we've got a little hole still in it, but you can't see it from the front because it's actually hidden under there, look. Look at that. So yes, that's why we don't want to fully get it up there. And so let's look at knocking this area out first. And what am I gonna actually weld to, you saying? Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to weld these holes back up. I'm just gonna take the latch off and see if there's any access behind it. I apologise for the slight noise from now onwards, because it's got to that time of the year again where we need a heater. Well, I've managed to bring this section down so that it's now level again. You can see there's a slight kink here. I can't get anything in there to bring that kink out, but once the bumper's on and everything, it will not be seen. I mean, I'm gonna know it's there and it's gonna piss me off the whole time, but you can't get to it. I just can't get to it. There's no access from the top at all when you take it off. But anyway, I've got a screwdriver holding all of the wiring up because I was gonna pull it all out, but there's actually more in there than you think. I've got this one wire being held up out of the way with clips this side, and then I've pulled it up as far that side and taped it, so it's all pulled up into this top piece. So hopefully when I weld these holes, we should have no casualties. Now we've got it in its final position, the holes are filled, and we're ready to attempt to weld these on, because the last spot welder, or not the spot welder, but the last welder that you tried to do plug welds with, the snap-on one, did these terrible. There's still a gap, you can just see the shadow. I just can't get it to be perfectly flush because it's still got a bit of buckling, you can see it there, look. But it'll all get seam sealed. So I just turn the voltage up a little bit in order to get the plug welds in there, and it's still warm, but you got that little bit of movement at the bottom, but that's because there was nothing holding it originally at the bottom. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Just gotta grind them back now. I've decided not to grind the welds back immediately. I can do that another day when I come to put the filler, a nice skimmer filler on the outside. I'm still just going to concentrate on getting all the welding done. The bodywork can come later because the whole car needs spraying, prepping and everything, so all that can be involved in the prep work. Because I think what I'm doing, you know, welding, prepping it, getting it as nice as I possibly can, like that piece there, that's what's slowing the progress down. I just need to get the bits welded and all the prep work come later. So we've now got this to sort out. I've just been with the hammer and dolly and I've just straightened this piece out. So now we've got a perfect template here of what this piece here should look like. So I'm going to cut all this rot out here now up to here, and then we can use this in the reverse to recreate this piece. And I just found it, what's really funny is I was behind this one and there's a tab. Let's see if I can get it on camera. There's a little tab of metal just there, and basically what they did is they just got to here and they just bent it underneath, and that was it. You get one little spot weld there, look, if you can just see it. You get one little spot weld holding it on, and then they just bent the tab underneath, which I thought was mad. But no, it's supposed to be like that so it can stay like that. So yeah, I'm going to cut up to here, cut this piece out, and we'll get a piece welded in here. And we're nearly there for all the welding done on this car. We are nearly there. There's just a couple more little repairs to do afterwards. So then, made cardboard template for the area. Made this piece. Now this piece is to slot onto the actual floor so that it has this back piece, because it's 2 layers, so the floor goes across and bends down. So that's the floor piece, allowing me to put the spot welds back in for this piece. Now, this piece still needs a bit of work because that's not at its full trim, but basically it's going to go on there. And it's going to be like that. So back to what it would have looked like originally. As you can see, it still needs to trim. In fact, it's the top that needs trimming off. But yeah, I want to get this piece welded in first before we get that final trim. So that's the back piece welded in. I've done it from the back, done it from the actual back as well, so that I didn't have to weld down here and try and interfere. But you can see it has welded to the floor. There's a little tiny bit of overhang just about there, look, but it is welded from the other side, so it should not matter. Well, it's still nice and warm. So yes, that's good. I just want to now clean it completely back, front and back, so that when this piece is trimmed, because it's spot welded, look, there we go. So it should be spot welded all the way across here to the floor, and we're going to do that. So there's already one there, so we'll put another one here and another one there, so then this is at least spot welded to that. So then when it's seam sealed from the inside back along here, the gap is fully sealed. It'll actually have somewhere to seal into. So yeah, I'm just going to trim this, clean that. So there we go, look, the last piece of the puzzle is in. I dropped 3 spot welds on there. I don't know how many it would have had originally, but it doesn't really matter. Once it's painted, you ain't going to see it anyway. And once the bumper's on, you're not going to see this. So yeah, let's drop some weld on here. I think it's going to go terrible because it's, you know, it's got corrosion in it. So we'll grind it back some more, and we shall see if I'll just be able to just blob these holes without having to cut it all out. Well, it let me build up some material. So let's see when you grind it back if it just leaves 2 holes. So this one was fine, but this one is so thin it even opened up another area, grinding it a little bit more. So just looking at that pit in there, I think all of this section really wants chopping out, wants a slither chopping out of it. But I'll try and drill a hole and fill the hole first. And there we go, second time is a charm. There's like a tiny pinhole just there, but we'll be going over with it with fiberglass from the back anyway. So once it's painted, filled and whatever, it'll never come back anyway. So yeah, so I'm pretty happy with how the rear valance has turned out. I say everything's just going to need bodywork going over it, but it always looks terrible when you're looking at it from bare metal. It always looks like, what the hell? So literally, Well, look at the difference, look. There we go, the front valance is all welded up, and just putting some grey spray paint on it just completely changes what it looks like. It's madness. Just a bit of spray makes it look that good. I can't be more happy with how that bit turned out, and especially being able to save that bit there. You can see where the holes were. Like I say, once it's painted and filled, it'll look mint. And when I come to do the bodywork is when I will grind those down. Right then, thanks for watching. That's some more welding done on the Peugeot 205 GTI, and yeah, it's just taking a lot longer than expected. But you know, there'll be more welding to do. There's loads more things to fix on it. So I shall see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, comment, leave me a like, do some sharing, and I'll see you later.